In the popular imagination, the Philippines is a country of beaches, remittances, and shopping malls. But behind the crowded streets of Manila and the turquoise waters of Palawan sits a layer of wealth so deep, so concentrated, and so dynastic that it makes the fictional young family from Crazy Rich Asians look like middle management. The movie sold the world a fantasy set in Singapore. But the real Crazy Rich Asians have always been in the Philippines, a nation where a handful of families control more combined wealth than the GDP of entire neighboring countries. These are women who don't just spend money. They print the policies, build the skylines, and bankroll the elections that shape a nation of 115 million people. From fashion queens and beauty moguls to construction titans, pharmaceutical empresses, and political matriarchs sitting on alleged billions in hidden gold. Today, we are counting down the real crazy rich women of the Philippines and the billion-dollar dynasties they command. Number 10. Heart Evangelista, the crazy rich muse. Every dynasty needs a face. In the Philippines, that face wears Dior, paints on Hermès bags, and married a senator. Heart Evangelista, born Love Marie Ongpauco, is not the richest woman on this list, not even close, but she is arguably the most important because she is the walking, breathing, Instagram-filtered advertisement for Filipino crazy rich culture. She is the reason millions of Filipinos believe that wealth can be both aspirational and aesthetic. Her financial architecture begins with her family. The Ongpaucos own the Barrio Fiesta restaurant chain, one of the most recognized Filipino food brands in the country. Heart grew up in wealth, but she didn't inherit a conglomerate. She inherited taste. That taste became her currency. Heart is one of the few people in the world who has painted directly onto Hermès Birkin bags, turning a $15,000 handbag into a $100,000 wearable artwork. She is a front-row regular at Paris and Milan fashion weeks, personally dressed by the creative directors of Dior and Valentino. But her strategic genius lies in the marriage. In 2015, she married Senator Francis Chiz Escudero, fusing showbiz royalty with political power. It is a classic Filipino dynastic move, merging entertainment capital with legislative influence. Her personal net worth is estimated between $10 and $15 million, modest by dynasty standards. But Heart's value is not in her bank account. It is in her ability to make the entire country aspire to the life she curates. She is the gateway drug to crazy rich Philippines. But as we climb higher, the wealth stops being curated and starts being colossal. Number 9. Dr. Vicki Belo, the self-made beauty empress. If Heart Evangelista sells the fantasy of wealth, Dr. Vicki Belo sells the tools to look the part. She didn't inherit a dynasty, she built one, scalpel by scalpel. Victoria Garcia. Belo founded the Belo Medical Group in 1990, at a time when cosmetic surgery in the Philippines was considered taboo, a secret whispered about in salon corners. Vicki didn't whisper. She went on national television, sat across from the country's biggest celebrities, and told the Philippines that wanting to look beautiful wasn't vanity, it was self-investment. The result was an empire. Today, Belo Medical Group operates clinics across Metro Manila, Cebu, and even the Middle East, serving the enormous Filipino diaspora community. The group pioneered cosmetic dermatology in Southeast Asia, and its client list reads like a who's who of Philippine entertainment and politics. Her business model is what makes her a genius. Most cosmetic practices are built on one-time procedures. Vicki built hers on recurring revenue, skin maintenance, anti-aging programs, and subscriptions to beauty. Her clients don't visit once. They come back monthly, for years, sometimes decades. That is annuity-level income from human vanity. Her personal life only amplified the brand. Her marriage to celebrity Dr. Hayden Koh was national tabloid fodder, but instead of retreating, she leaned into the spotlight. Her daughter Cristal launched Belo Baby, extending the brand into the next generation. Estimates place her personal net worth between $80 and $100 million. In a country where most female entrepreneurs struggle for funding, Vicki Belo built a $100 million empire by identifying a universal human desire and industrializing it. She proved that in the Philippines, beauty is not just skin deep, it is a billion-peso market waiting to be owned. Number 8. Alice Eduardo, the Woman of Steel. While Vicki Belo reshaped faces, Alice Eduardo reshaped the ground those faces walk on. She is the president and CEO of Stay-Lena Construction and Development Corporation, and she builds the things that nations are made of: ports, airports, power plants, bridges, and casinos. In a country where the construction industry is almost entirely dominated by men, Alice Eduardo didn't just break through the ceiling, she demolished it with an excavator. Her company has been behind some of the most critical infrastructure projects in the Philippines, including work on major casino resorts in Entertainment City and power generation facilities. Her operation uses the same industrial-grade materials and engineering standards found on government megaprojects, because she is the one building those government projects. But the detail that elevates Alice into the crazy rich stratosphere is her personal real estate. She owns a property at 9541 Sunset Boulevard in Beverly Hills, purchased for $9.5 million, an 8,500-square-foot Mediterranean villa with olive trees imported from Italy. Today, that property is estimated to be worth over $16.5 million, a Filipino woman planting her flag on the most famous street in America. Her Manila residence is equally legendary. She personally flew to Tivoli, Italy to hand-select the travertine stone slabs for her walls. The house features cascading waterfalls running through 2 floors, furniture from Minotti, and art from Philippine masters like Ben Cab, Juan Luna, and Jose Joya. Her net worth is conservatively estimated between $600 million and $1 billion. Alice Eduardo proved that in the Philippines, the ultimate power move isn't wearing luxury, it is building the foundations that luxury stands on. Number 7. Robina Gokongwei-Pe, the retail heiress. We now enter the rarefied air of true dynastic wealth. Robina Gokongwei-Pe was born into one of the most storied business families in Philippine history, a family whose fortune was forged from nothing. Her father, John Gokongwei Jr., arrived in Cebu as a Chinese-Filipino teenager during World War II. He started by selling soap and candles on a bicycle. By the time he died in 2019, he had built JG Summit Holdings, a conglomerate that includes Cebu Pacific Air, Universal Robina Corporation, and Robinson's Land, into a family fortune estimated at over $5.5 billion. Robina's role in this empire is not ceremonial. She is the president of Robinson's Retail Holdings, the family's sprawling network of over 2,000 retail stores across the Philippines. In 2013, she took the company public in what was, at the time, one of the largest IPOs in Philippine history, raising approximately $620 million. Running 2,000 stores is not glamour. It is logistics, supply chain management, employee negotiations, and real-time inventory tracking across an archipelago of 7,600 islands. Robina handles this machine while her brother Lance oversees the broader JG Summit strategy. The Gokongwei fortune represents a specific kind of Filipino wealth, the immigrant trader who arrived with nothing and built an empire through relentless work and calculated risk. Robina is the guardian of that legacy, ensuring that the retail arm, the customer-facing heartbeat of the empire, continues to generate the cash flow that funds everything else. Her father built the dynasty on a bicycle. She runs it from a boardroom. Number 6. Vivian Que-Azcona, the silent pharmaceutical empress. If there is one woman on this list that you have almost certainly never heard of, it is Vivian Que-Azcona, and that is exactly how she wants it. Vivian is the president of Mercury Drug Corporation, the largest drugstore chain in the Philippines. Walk into any city, any town, any province, and you will find a Mercury Drug. There are over 1,200 branches nationwide. In a country of 115 million people, Mercury Drug is not just a pharmacy, it is a utility, as essential as running water or electricity. The dynasty began with her father, Mariano Que, who founded the company in 1945 with a starting capital of just 100 pesos, less than $2 at the time. From a single small store in Bambang, Manila, he built a pharmaceutical empire that today generates annual revenues exceeding 150 billion pesos, roughly $2.7 billion. Vivian took the reins and professionalized the operation, transforming it from a large family business into a corporate machine. She modernized the supply chain, expanded into underserved provinces, and maintained the company's iron grip on the Philippine pharmaceutical market. What makes Mercury Drugs' wealth extraordinary is that it is entirely private. The company has never gone public. There are no shareholders to appease, no quarterly earnings calls, no stock price to manage. Every peso of profit flows directly back to the family. Financial analysts who study private Philippine companies estimate the Qui family's net worth to be well in excess of 1 billion, possibly significantly more, hidden behind the fortress of private ownership. Vivian Que-Azcona is the kind of billionaire who doesn't appear on magazine covers. She appears on the balance sheet of every Filipino family's medicine cabinet. Number 5. Imelda Marcos, the original Crazy Rich Filipino. Before Crazy Rich Asians was a novel, before it was a movie, there was Imelda. She didn't just live the crazy rich life, she defined it for an entire generation and became its most controversial symbol. Imelda Romualdez Marcos was the First Lady of the Philippines from 1965 to 1986, standing beside her husband Ferdinand Marcos Sr. during 2 decades of authoritarian rule. When the People Power Revolution finally toppled the regime and the Marcos family fled to Hawaii, the world got its first look inside Malacañang Palace, and what they found became legend. 3,000 pairs of shoes, entire rooms stacked with designer gowns, fur coats, and bulletproof bras. Hundreds of Hermès bags. A collection so vast it was turned into a museum, the Marikina Shoe Museum, where tourists still line up to gape at the excess. But the shoes were merely the visible layer. The Presidential Commission on Good Government, established after the revolution, has been attempting to recover the Marcos family's alleged ill-gotten wealth for 4 decades. Estimates of the total hidden fortune range from $5 billion to $10 billion, stashed across Swiss bank accounts, New York real estate, art collections, and gold deposits. And here is where the dynasty aspect becomes staggering. In 2022, her son, Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr., was elected president of the Philippines in a landslide victory. The family that was exiled in disgrace returned to the highest office in the land within a single generation. Imelda, now in her mid-90s, was convicted of 7 counts of graft in 2018 and sentenced to prison. She has never served a single day. She posted bail and continued attending social functions in Manila, wearing jewelry that could fund a hospital. She is the ultimate cautionary tale and the ultimate dynasty proof. In the Philippines, power is never truly lost. It is merely rebranded. Number 4. Liza Araneta-Marcos, the Double Dynasty. If Imelda Marcos is the origin story, Liza Araneta-Marcos is the sequel, and arguably the more strategically significant character. Luis Liza Cacho Araneta married Bongbong Marcos in 1993, and in doing so, she fused 2 of the most powerful families in Philippine history into a single bloodline. On one side, the Marcos dynasty. Political power spanning decades, with alleged billions in assets and an unmatched political machine. On the other side, the Araneta clan, one of the Philippines' oldest and wealthiest business families. The Aranetas built the iconic Smart Araneta Coliseum, the Big Dome, which has been the cultural heartbeat of Manila since 1960. They developed Araneta City, a massive commercial complex that includes Gateway Mall, one of the largest shopping centers in the capital. Their real estate portfolio alone is worth billions of pesos. Liza's grandfather was the legendary J. Amado Araneta, a sugar baron and industrialist. Her father, Gregorio Araneta III, continued the family's expansion into real estate, entertainment, and agriculture. The Araneta fortune is old money in the truest sense, built on sugar, land, and political alliances stretching back to the Spanish colonial period. When Bongbong won the presidency in 2022, Liza became the First Lady. But she was already royalty. She brought the Araneta family's business legitimacy to a political dynasty that desperately needed it, while the Marcos name gave the Aranetas access to the ultimate seat of power. This merger of political and commercial dynasties is not unusual in the Philippines. It is the operating system. But the Marcos Araneta union represents its most concentrated form, a family that simultaneously controls the nation's government and owns a significant chunk of its capital city's commercial real estate. The power is not just inherited, it is architected. Number 3. Cynthia Villar, the 9.7 billion matriarch. If political dynasties run the government and old money families own the land, Cynthia Villar and her husband have found a way to do both at the same time. Cynthia Aguilar Villar is a sitting senator of the Republic of the Philippines, but that title, impressive as it is, barely scratches the surface. She is the wife of Manuel "Manny" Villar, who Forbes consistently ranks as the richest person in the Philippines with a net worth of approximately 9.7 billion. The Villar fortune is built on one of the most basic human needs: shelter. Their company, Vista Land and Lifescapes, is the largest home builder in the Philippines, having constructed hundreds of thousands of homes, from affordable Camella townhouses for the working class to luxury Brittany estates for the ultra-rich. They essentially provide housing to every income bracket in the country. But the empire doesn't stop at homes. The Villar portfolio includes All Home, the country's largest home improvement retailer, all-day supermarket, Star Malls, and a sprawling portfolio of commercial real estate. When you buy a Villar house, you shop at a Villar mall, buy your furniture at a Villar store, and eat at restaurants in a Villar food court. It is vertical integration taken to its logical extreme. Cynthia's genius is the political arm. As a senator, she sits on key committees that influence land use, agriculture, and economic policy, the exact areas that directly impact her family's business interests. Their children have followed the same playbook. Mark Villar served as Secretary of Public Works and Highways, Manuel Paolo runs Vistaland as CEO, and Camille Villar has entered politics. The Villar dynasty is a masterclass in what political scientists call state capture, using political office to protect and expand business interests, while using business wealth to fund and win political campaigns. It is a self-reinforcing cycle that has made them, in just 2 decades, the richest family in the Philippines. They didn't just build homes, they built a machine that prints both money and power. Number 2. The Zobel de Ayala women, guardians of the 190-year empire. Every country has old money. The Philippines has the Zobel de Ayalas. Their fortune doesn't start with an IPO or a tech breakthrough. It starts in 1834, the year the company that would become Ayala Corporation was founded, 32 years before the telephone was invented. The Ayala dynasty is Spanish Filipino aristocracy in its purest form. They trace their lineage to Domingo Roxas and Antonio de Ayala, merchants who built a trading empire during the colonial period. Nearly 2 centuries later, the family still controls the conglomerate, now a sprawling portfolio that includes Ayala Land, Bank of the Philippine Islands, Globe Telecom, and Manila Water. To understand the Zobel de Ayalas, forget about net worth for a moment. Think about something more fundamental. They built Makati, the city that serves as the financial capital of the Philippines, home to the stock exchange, the headquarters of every major bank, and the most expensive real estate in the country, was literally developed by Ayala Land. They didn't buy into the financial district. They created it from swampland in the 1950s. The women of this dynasty have been its quiet architects. Mercedes Zobel de Ayala, wife of longtime chairman Jaime Augusto Zobel de Ayala II, has been a driving force behind the Ayala Foundation, which funds education, arts, and sustainable development across the country. The foundation doesn't just give money, it shapes policy, trains leaders, and preserves cultural heritage. The family's net worth, Forbes lists Jaime at approximately 3.5 billion, drastically underrepresents their true influence. When you control the land beneath a nation's financial capital, the bank that holds its deposits, the telecom network that carries its calls, and the water utility that flows from its taps, you don't just own assets. You own the infrastructure of daily life. Other dynasties have more money. The Zobel de Ayalas have something rarer: 190 years of unbroken institutional power. They have survived Spanish colonization, American occupation, Japanese invasion, martial law, and multiple financial crises, and emerged from each one stronger. In a nation of new money and political upheaval, the Ayala name is the one constant, the bedrock upon which the modern Philippines was literally built. Number 1. Teresita Sy-Coson, the SM dynasty, the Philippines' $20 billion empire. And finally, we arrive at the summit, not just the richest woman, but the most powerful figure in the most powerful dynasty in the history of the Philippines. Teresita Sy-Coson is the oldest daughter of the late Henry Sy Sr., a Chinese immigrant who arrived in Manila from Fujian province at the age of 12, carrying nothing but the clothes on his back. That boy, who started by selling rice and sardines on the streets, built the SM Group, a conglomerate so vast that it touches the life of virtually every Filipino alive. The numbers are staggering. SM Supermalls operates over 80 shopping malls across the Philippines and China, including the SM Mall of Asia, one of the largest malls on the planet, with a gross floor area exceeding 400,000 square meters. SM Prime Holdings is the largest integrated property developer in Southeast Asia. BDO Unibank, which Teresita personally oversees, is the largest bank in the Philippines by assets, with a loan portfolio exceeding 40 billion. When Henry Sy Sr. died in January 2019, the family fortune was estimated at approximately 20 billion, making the Sys not just the richest family in the Philippines, but one of the wealthiest in all of Southeast Asia. The empire was divided among 6 children: Teresita, Elizabeth, Henry Jr., Hans, Herbert, and Harley. Each sibling took responsibility for specific arms of the conglomerate. Teresita's domain is finance. She is the vice chairperson of SM Investments Corporation and the driving force behind BDO's dominance of the Philippine banking sector. Under her stewardship, BDO grew from a mid-tier regional bank into the country's undisputed financial giant through a series of aggressive acquisitions, absorbing Equitable PCI Bank, Dow Heng Bank, and others. But the SM story is more than a balance sheet. It is the greatest immigrant success story in Philippine history. A penniless boy from China who couldn't speak Tagalog built an empire that now employs hundreds of thousands of Filipinos. His daughter Teresita didn't just inherit that empire, she professionalized it, globalized it, and ensured it would survive far beyond the founder's lifetime. The SM dynasty is the crazy rich Asians that no movie could capture because the scale is too large for fiction. They don't live in mansions on a tropical island. They own the island. They don't shop at luxury boutiques. They build the malls those boutiques rent space in. And they don't just manage wealth, they manage the financial system that everyone else's wealth flows through. Teresita Sy-Coson sits at the top because she embodies the ultimate truth of Philippine wealth. In this country, the real power doesn't belong to the politicians, the celebrities, or the socialites. It belongs to the families who build the banks, the malls, and the homes, the ones who make the economy itself move. And no family moves it more than the Sys. From the curated glamour of Heart Evangelista to the silent, colossal empire of Teresita Sy-Coson, these women prove that the real crazy rich Asians of the Philippines are not characters in a film. Which dynasty impressed you the most? Let us know in the comments, and subscribe to her status for more deep dives into the real wealth and power behind the world's most fascinating women.